most of what you think doesn't come from you. It comes from your parents, school, people, society, work, convention, religion, etc., etc. Who you truly are doesn't think anything about anything. So we've all been judgmental, okay? We've all had these moments where we were being a little judgy. It happens, we are imperfect, we're all humans, so don't worry, I won't judge you. But at some point, excessively forming opinion on how other people exist, on other people's physical appearance, plenty of stuff like that starts making you a judgmental person. 3 main sources of what you think in general. The first one, society. Society tells you on a daily basis what you think, okay? Society tells you, you think that, you believe that. So it's happening through programming, mainly through TV for most of us, because that was the main tool. Now there are so many others, but up until a few years ago, TV was really the biggest programming tool in our society, right? On top of that, society encourages you to form opinion, to comment, to tell people what you think about this and that, and to comment, to hit comment. Society encourages you to put what you think, whatever it is, out there. So I made another video about 6 very toxic behaviors that have been normalized in our society, and I highly encourage you to go and watch it. I develop a bit more about how society pushes us to be judgmental and how toxic it is. So I'm not going to expand too much on this, but what you want to understand through that is that feeling solicited all the time like this, to comment on this event, on this post, on this information, is forcing your brain to work and to generate pointless information because it's not very important, and it's draining you. It's draining to think all the time, and let alone to think, what do I think about this? What do I think about this lamp right here? What do I think about the color of this couch? What do I think about this and that? It's not important. And society is really pushing you to have opinions on everything and then to comment it. It is training your brain because you're being productive. You are thinking and you are generating irrelevant information. And obviously, as you may guess, society is very judgmental, right? Society thinks something very clear about everything, and we all know that. So we live in a society that has a very clear, definite opinion on people's weight, people's faces, people's skin color, people's gender, people's sexual orientation, people, everything. All of this is injected to your subconscious before you even know it. You have an opinion on these things. Okay, now the second source, your parents, friends, your environment in general. Parents mainly, because these are the first people you spent most of your childhood with, most of your forming years around. And so you absorbed whatever they were thinking, you absorbed it. Consciously or unconsciously, you absorbed it. And so their beliefs became your beliefs, whether you like it or not. That's a fact. And finally, there's trauma. Okay, you experience this and that traumatic event and you form the belief as a result of what happened to you. That is usually a generality. Everybody's like this, everybody's like that, everybody that looks like this are like that, etc. So if you followed me well, out of 3 sources of information, only one kinda comes from you, which is trauma. That's not even your own true deep belief, but at least your brain formed it on its own, okay? I'm telling you this because all of the rest, parents, family, society, this represents the majority of what's on your mind or what you believe, okay? More than 80%, I'd say. 80% of your beliefs, of what you think are your tastes, okay? What you think is yours doesn't belong to you. These are not your thoughts. These are not your beliefs or your thoughts. It doesn't belong to you. I hope it hits right now because it did for me. Most of the things that you think, you don't think that. Someone else thinks that. You just absorbed it, and before you knew it, this thought is on your mind and you think you believe that thing. You know, the mind is like a resonance box, and just like a parrot, everything it hears around you, it just absorbs, and then it stays stuck there, and it's kept on repeat and repeat, and all these voices, all these opinions, all these beliefs that you heard here and there, they are all repeating themselves like echoes in your mind, and you hear them as thoughts. This is making you feel like you think something, but you don't. This is the thoughts of someone else. You know, entirely getting back the control of your life, of your mind at some point, it requires requires this introspection. It requires seriously going back inside and ask yourself, do I truly believe that? Do I truly feel that way? Am I truly attracted to this person? Yeah, it can go that far. So yeah, everything you heard here and there, these become your thoughts in a way, because these voices are still moving in your subconscious. They're here speaking. So yeah, you really want to pay attention to the kind of information you consume, because it truly impacts you more than you think. You have no idea how much. A little example that I'd like to share with you, because it was the first time of my life that I really realized that whatever I was thinking was not my thinking. And that's how I realized that I had opinions and voices in my head that weren't mine. So I remember going on a date with this person, and we were talking, everything was going well, and I heard that voice in my head being very judgmental about what they were doing for a living. And it really hit, because I truly remember being shocked at my own thoughts, at this voice that I heard. I remember thinking, oh, what? Oh my God. The voice was implying that the job wasn't great, wasn't very interesting, wasn't very appealing. And I remember feeling sad. I remember going home and thinking, whoa, I didn't realize I was judgmental like that. It's really weird, because I don't think I care. So what was that? What was that kind of thought? Do I truly believe that? I really had an existential crisis, because there was a huge contrast between what I truly thought I believed and yet that voice that I heard in my head. And it's funny, because the more I focused on this voice, I closed my eyes and I really heard that voice again. And I focused, and I heard it, and it got louder and louder. And then I realized that's not my voice. I could hear it distinctly. I could hear the voice in question, its tone, and I recognized it. It was my mother's voice in my head. And that was really a huge moment for me, because I was really like, what the hell are you doing in my head? Why am I hearing my mother's voice in my head? It made so much sense, because it was perfectly aligned with the judgmental comment in question. I felt relieved, because that confirmed that no, I am not like that. I don't think that at all. That was not my voice. That was somebody else's voice. Yeah, it's definitely her. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. That is totally something she would say, but not me. And yet she was in my head. Why? Because as I said before, when you grow up in an environment and you hear always the same kind of remarks, okay, criticism, comments in general, positive or negative, it starts to invade your subconscious and they stay stuck there. And I never realized he was present along with other people and all sorts of voices that you hear all the time in your head. These are not your thoughts, not always. So you really want to pay attention to that, but I'll expand just a bit later. I hope I was clear with the example. I hope it made sense, but I really wanted to highlight that everything that's going on in your head is not a product of your own mind. You actually absorb information from outside, and then you hear sentences, phrases in your head, and that's not what you think. It's just a sentence, it's just a phrase that you might have heard in a movie, heard over and over again from someone someone very familiar, like a parent figure, for example. And I remember that every time I would meet a person through dating, and even when I was meeting people like socially in general, I would hear that voice that would say stuff to me, and that was definitely her. And this voice was very judgmental and very convincing, and that really was the relationship I had growing up, where it was very controlling. And so it just followed me. This little voice stayed. Oh no, it's not good enough for you. Oh no, it's not doing that kind of job. No, you won't like it. And it was just criticizing me and my life all the time. And that voice isn't me. That voice was only the voice of a parent figure. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. Sometimes you think stuff, but it doesn't come from you really. So I maintain most of what you think, the majority of it, most of what you hear in your head, the majority of it is not the product of your own mind. These are not your thoughts. Sometimes you feel a bit triggered to judge, to criticize somebody. This might only be the voice that you heard in your head belongs to another person. Okay, maybe a sister, your mother, father. They were the one making comments like this, and it just stayed in your subconscious and it keeps moving, it keeps speaking. I truly hope I'm making sense right now. So one thing to do to be way less judgmental, to be way less critic of everything all the time, is to first be aware of what I just said. You are not your mind. Your mind absorbs everything around you all the time. What it hears, especially what it heard during your childhood. The dynamic of the interaction, the type of comment, it creates a cycle that keeps going in your subconscious even though you're growing up, even though you're not with these people anymore, even though they don't live with you anymore. The voices are still in your mind talking and they are stuck inside. You are not your mind, and that everything that you hear in your head does not belong to you. There are a lot of opinions that belong to other people, the outside world. Then you want to start becoming aware of your own thoughts. So listen to what's happening in your head and start filtering what's yours, what's not. You'll realize a lot of all sorts of things that you hear all the time. I'm so detached now. I hear all sorts of BS sometimes flowing through my mind. Sometimes it surprises me, but now that I know it's not mine, I don't know where I heard that. I don't know why my mind just fabricated this thought just now, but I'm very detached now. I'm not judging anymore myself. I'm just letting these weird thoughts sometimes just flow and be like, okay, interesting, and I move on. I know what I truly think I know. So the next point is to actually get to know yourself, and so build a very good understanding of who you are and what you truly think, your core values, so that you know very easily when a thought doesn't belong to you. It's gonna come up very quickly. You know, when you're being judgmental, there's always a reason behind. When you feel like you're super judgy, you're always criticizing other people, it stems from a behavior that you saw. It's not you truly. It doesn't come from you. A little practice that I highly suggest is to practice not thinking anything of anything. It's an excellent practice that I started to do. I could feel my brain thanking me, and I could feel, you know, this emptiness sometimes is so necessary for the mind to recharge. Literally exercise, witnessing people existing, and just not thinking anything of what you see. Try to practice that. Not thinking anything, not forming any judgment of situations, people. Try to practice that. It is very powerful. Another way is also to meditate, to truly empty your mind and practice mindfulness, which is literally observing the world around you and be present. Realize that things are the way they are and there's nothing you can do about it. Letting go of, in the end, trying to control every aspect of things, why they are like that, I don't like it. It's gonna help you not forming opinions like that about things that are just the way they are. Mindfulness, I like to practice it by going in nature, watching the birds, watching the trees, and they are the way they are, you know, that's the way it is. It really helps your mind remember that you have no control over how things were created and how they are existing. It really helps calming this sometimes little urge to just be judgmental about stuff. And obviously, last but not least, you really want to keep your distance with people that are judgmental, with people that cannot help. You're criticizing in a very severe and chronic way everything and people, especially, all the time. This is the kind of energy you don't need. I repeat myself, I'm not here to judge. Everybody's human. Happens to everybody to think something negative, okay, about a situation, a person. The moment it becomes like a habit, this is toxic. It's toxic and it's draining. So you want to keep your distance with people that are judgmental as a state of being, that just judge people all the time. In a nutshell, what I want you to understand is that most of what you think doesn't even belong to you. You don't think. It doesn't even belong to you. You want to reconnect with your own actual thoughts. You are not your mind. Pay attention to your thoughts and let things be as they are. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope it hits. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment. If you enjoyed watching this video, subscribe and join the self-awareness journey. Welcome, welcome. I also make art, as you can see. So have a look at my Instagram if you feel like it. The link is in the description box. And as for me, I will leave you there. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.